Ghost of the Future Issue 6. After Sonic gets out of Dark Super form, Shadow talks about Arabian Nights Rouge, the sorceress of the Black Isle. Shadow says she'll return more powerful than ever. He says that he didn't want to do her bidding, but she has his partner, a djinn known as Foa. So that's Maria, right? Since Shadow's connected to Maria and cares about her. Their duty was to watch over this land so that when the sorceress arrived, they'd attempt to confront her. But the only way she'd free Foa when she captured her was if he gave her the 7 world rings. Oh, so Shadow wasn't evil. He was just being really stupid, to the point where he looked pure evil. He could have told Sonic his predicament easily instead of putting his life at risk. He knows he's a legendary hedgehog. Wasn't it obvious that he would want to help him? He really shouldn't have been written to antagonize Sonic. Sonic lampshaded Shadow's stupidity, saying just what I was thinking about Shadow. But knowing that's a problem doesn't make the problem go away. Shadow says he doesn't have the power to teleport all of them by himself to get to Rouge. Bullshit. The rules sure are different in this wacky new universe with this crazy new Shadow that somehow exists. If Shadow could warp Rouge and Chris Thorndike to the Ark, what's the deal? Maybe only because he had an emerald or two? He's still the ultimate life form. This limited chaos control range thing was never stated to be a canon part of the games. Shara says she could add her magic to the spell to help. If it's that easy, then Shadow should have just been written to be powerful enough to begin with instead of confusing us. Then after they warp to Rouge, all of a sudden Shadow says he didn't mean to bring them here yet. Where did he mean to bring them? Shadow could have just teleported everyone so that they'd appear in the physical location that Rouge is in, meaning that she died from a portal being created in her. That'd be dark and anticlimactic though, and I just want to see this evil Rouge get what she deserves for a whole scene, not just one panel. But the fact remains that Shadow could have been a lot smarter. And if Tails was actually a genius here, he'd have thought of doing this. I don't think of him as smart here, or even having a personality at all. The most disappointing thing is, even Knuckles doesn't seem like he has a personality here. Knuckles and Tails were sorely missing from this comic, but these guys don't feel like Tails and Knuckles. But they don't feel like they have any personalities. Tails isn't engineering stuff. Knuckles is also useless. So that's really disappointing. And if Rouge is going to be nothing like she's usually like, then she might as well be just a cameo too. Sonic thinks Rouge figures. Rouge says she'll return Shadow's partner from the jug, but she's her djinn now. So she releases Blaze. That's way less predictable than Foa being Maria. And more badass since she has special powers. But having Blaze and Shadow be best friends is pretty random. But thank goodness it's something new. And I always thought they were similar in personality, especially from Sonic Universe, so they would make a great team. Sonic says he'll distract Rouge while his friends help Shadow. Then I look at Silver, and immediately wonder why he won't just telekinetically break the limbs of Rouge to end the fight, or at least hold her still instead of just standing there. Sonic has horrible dialogue saying an interjection in his thoughts that he would never say. They waste an entire page angsting because Blaze looks like a friend of theirs. There's no reason he couldn't have just grabbed her directly. He grabbed Sonic in 06 with it. You'd think the writer would remember that really well, because that boss fight was really infamous. This character has a story-breaking power, and he has to be written like an idiot because of it. This is exactly why I had reservations about this fan comic, specifically because he was in it. Predictably, Rouge doesn't get attacked. She instead telekinetically holds Sonic in place over his shoulder without even seeing him, and says that Sonic yelled out his plan while running in a giant circle, so that blatantly telegraphed it to her. Yeah, well, I'm not taking this seriously because obviously Silver should have just ended the fight already, so. She says that the rings are slowly burning away the lives of Silver and Sonic and wants to speed up the process. Then they use Chaos Control. And it's explained that a separate dimension exists where the goddess of the world, the writer, creates it. And Sonic teleports his consciousness to the sanctuary called the Lost Prologue. So he meets with the writer with the unpronounceable name, who says that she hasn't written the ending to the story yet, somehow, and tells Sonic that he can either take on his role as the Chaos Emerald Guardian again and return to his world to fulfill his duty there and depress us by being a ghost who doesn't get to be with his friends from the games, Or he can use the world rings and stay in the Arabian Nights world forever, alive. But Silver would have to return home alone. Oh, let me guess, Sonic wouldn't do that because he's a hero, even though he really wants to. Because he's needed to save Silver's universe. I'm thinking of this girl as a bad guy right now. Why'd she even write a villain like Rouge? Why not just give Sonic and Silver what they want if she has all this power? Rouge says that with the 7 rings, she'll be able to control an emerald to do something evil. I guess they're gonna power her up so that she can do that. I guess she's too weak to do something evil like Chaos Control with an emerald on her own. She realizes Silver stole her emerald, as opposed to, like, stealing her. Sonic comes back in his spirit form because that was the whole gimmick of the comic, and Rouge complains that she had destroyed him earlier. Sonic says he talked to the creator of this universe and managed to get, the urn that kept Blaze in it, I guess? He just calls it this, and she calls it that. Why is she asking how he got that? He just said he talked to the goddess of the universe. It's not that hard to understand. It's not a plot hole, she's just that powerful. So Rouge goes super with the 7 secret rings, having no eyes because dark and edginess. That's cringeworthy to look at. Why did the creator of the Arabian Nights want to make her like this? Sonic wants to capture her in a vessel, and she refuses to let that happen. Too bad we'll never know why this Rouge is so evil. Which defeats the point of making her look like Rouge then, if personality-wise and even ability-wise, she's nothing like Rouge at all. She's not showing us what Rouge would be like if she turned out evil, and why. She's just a generic bad guy witch character who only looks like Rouge because of laziness. Then right after she said she couldn't capture her, he effortlessly captures her. So Sonic's in the Emerald. And apparently they can't help the Blaze of this world. Wouldn't it be more uplifting writing for a kids' series if Rouge being defeated caused the spell on Blaze to cease to exist? Like how in SCC, the defeat of the Dark One caused the magical Fox Kings to turn back to normal. Sonic says he used a spell to change Rouge into the genie of the vase, and she's staying in that indestructible vase, a fate worse than death. How does he know no one will ever get her out of there? Blaze was also bound to that vase though. What a shame. So since Blaze never showed a personality, she only looked like Blaze to make Silver and Sonic miserable. The writer didn't have to write that. Shadow says that the spell on her has no power anymore because Rouge is gone. She screams and thanks Shadow and says that she's helped her so much. Then she tells him to kill her, as if she magically knows what's going to happen to her if he doesn't. She's unhappy as things are melodramatic. Why are all the text bubbles yellow instead of the right color? Anyways, Shadow magically knows the Blaze of Silver's world and that he loves her, because let's make things even more confusing. She tells Silver to go back to his world and tell Blaze that he loves her while he still can. How are there Jinn that looks just like Mobian's and a Jinn that's a floating monster spirit? Shara says the day's been saved, and Sinbad and Ali Baba can take the vase back to the Sand Oasis, where Amy can look after it. She says that she'll return to her ring until she's needed again. Then Silver uses Chaos Control to go home with the Emerald. It's pretty sad that Sonic can't just stay here with still living versions of his friends, just because he still needs to save Silver's universe. But the only reason he needs to is because apparently it will be destroyed if he doesn't get all the emeralds to it from the special zone. And he can't warp to an emerald when he's not in his ghost form. Sonic only has to leave because he's forced to by the confusing premise of the comic where Silver's future is in danger because bullshit. That seems unfair. I mean, you'd think if Tikal was powerful enough to send the Master Emerald and Chaos Emeralds away from the universe, she'd also be able to reverse the spell and bring them all back. So they teleport back to the Shadow of Silver's dimension holding an emerald. The second time that Shadow was completely useless in their gaining of an emerald. I have a question. Why did the emeralds go into the Arabian Nights world? I thought they were all in the special zone, and that made more sense because they're associated with that place and usually go there. So the first one being there was just confusing. It just went there for no reason? I naturally assumed that all of the emeralds were sent to the same dimension. That would be common sense of Tikal to do to make it easy for Silver to retrieve them all to save his universe from destruction. Why don't you have them scattered so that they go to random planets? She's such an idiot, and her being an idiot is the whole justification for the comic taking so long. Tikal was an idiot in SC1 for never getting a clue that she can't reason with her warmonger father and giving up. So, her being an idiot is in character, but it's so frustrating. She was in charge of where the emeralds were put. Why don't you put them all in one little convenient place for Sonic to retrieve them? This would only make sense if she wanted them to take forever with this. Like a bad guy who wants Silver's future to be destroyed. So Silver goes to Blaze, and she arbitrarily interrupts him when he clearly has something he needs to tell her, as he said. She just says he was gone for 2 days. Then melodrama kicks in out of nowhere, and she gets mad at him because he didn't bother to tell her what's been going on with him, because she wasn't trusted. She's being brutally unfair to him. But yeah, he could have easily just brought her to Shadow and explained things. And they were supposed to be friends, so that was the obvious thing he had to do to avoid worrying her when he kept disappearing. Silver wouldn't do this to her. This is forced bad writing. It especially sucks because this wasn't the heartwarming ending that was built up to. Because he was told to tell Blaze that he loved her. She's mad at him because he didn't tell her something. You'd think she would be like, oh, finally, what do you have to tell me? She says that his parents called the other day, wanting him home for the winter break, and she doesn't want him here anymore. That's really bad melodrama. What a shitty ending. Silver's supposed to be a nice guy. He obviously would have told Blaze what was going on in his life and avoided this crap. It's just pulling a Flynn on you, where it has a dark thing in the story happen because the writing got forced and the character was an idiot. It's because the writer wanted to happen. And I can't take it seriously if that's the only explanation. Because I'm just wondering why on earth the writer wanted to write this. This issue by Evan Stanley was about Sonic using Chaos Control to go to the dimension where the goddess of the Arabian Nights is from the Lost Prologue. After Shadow brings them to Rouge. And she gives them the power to seal away the evil Rouge in a jug. While Sonic has to go back to his spirit form. And things are depressing because the Blaze of this world dies, and the Blaze of Silver's world hates him because he didn't tell her about Sonic's mission with him, when it could have brought her to Shadow at any point. So there's a shitty melodramatic ending that ruins her mood where she hates him all of a sudden because Silver was forced by the writer to be pathetically out of character past the point of recognizability and piss her off. Yeah, that could have easily not happened. It wouldn't have been so bad if Silver wasn't told to tell Blaze he loved her. It's just there to make things even more melodramatic. Like, why even have the fan service for the shippers just to abuse it to make them miserable? That's an unlikable ending. The Sonic and the Secret Rings arc is just lazy. Like, why have a Sonic and the Secret Rings adaptation kind of thing? I mean, it wasn't even creative. It had new rules for Shadow and Rouge, but it would have felt more creative if they were new characters instead. As it stands, I don't feel like I had much of a new experience. Barely anything happened in this issue.